Right, is Alex Pereira already the actual GOAT? Now I know you're already loading up the comments to tell me I'm a casual, but you can stand down. I'm not actually saying that he is, but what he's done in the sport in such a short amount of time is actually incredible. So let's just entertain the idea for a few minutes and have a quick look at how he holds up against the GOATs. So who've we got? Jon Jones, GSP, Mighty Mouse, Anderson Silva and Khabib. Those seem to be the usual candidates. First, Jon Jones. Now, before Izzy made the single worst decision of his entire life by throwing shade at Alex, setting events in motion that would eventually lead to his demise, Pereira was retired, hanging around in dingy bars, drinking himself stupid. And now that Alex is split from his partner, he's tearing through more ladies than a pre-cancelled middle-act comedian. But a period of alcoholism and a spell of promiscuity are nothing in comparison to the lows displayed by the Thanos of the UFC, collecting infinity stones of piece of shit qualities. Jon Jones, marital martial artist, real-life GTA, the list goes on. Jones's escapades make Pereira look like a fucking choir boy. But there's one thing that Jon Jones has done repeatedly that makes Alex Pereira officially higher than him on the GOAT list. You guessed it. He is a multiple-time drug cheat. So bad that the UFC had to actually change their rules just so that he could fight. As incredible as he is, and as decorated and rich as his career is, the GOAT list is no place for that sort of drug cheat, making the old Little Easter Island head higher on the list. On to Khabib. It's hard to argue that there's ever been a champion or even fighter at all in the history of the UFC as dominant as Khabib in the cage. Other than the fight against Gleison Tibau that he arguably lost and one round against McMuscles, he's pretty much torn through everyone he's faced, with less resistance than Paddy at a buffet. There is, though, one thing that damages Khabib's legacy. It's that he shot off quicker than Trump during a Colby Octagon interview. Not only did he leave too soon, but it was only his last few fights that he really faced the top caliber opposition. He's 29-0, which sounds great. But other than these guys, and if you're being generous, these guys, the rest of his record is pretty much made up of bin men, farmers and a janitor. Whereas Pereira, in just 12 fights and only 8 in the UFC, Alex has faced 5 recent former UFC champions. You could definitely argue that in this short time he's already faced higher competition than Khabib, and it seems like he's showing no plans of slowing down. Demetrius Johnson, simply a lack of competition. Not due to retiring early like Khabib, and at no fault of his own, his division in his era just didn't have enough talent to keep him challenged consistently. Anderson Silva again had his reign before there was a high level of competition, but he did also get popped for steroids, even though it was right at the end of his career when he probably should have retired, and he was recovering from that lead kick that was more messed up than Strickland's childhood. Plus, when comparing him to Pereira for the sake of this argument, I think he was only champ at one weight class. Now again, I'm not actually saying that Alex Pereira is the greatest of all time, but I'm just putting it out there that at this rate, and looking at these arguments, he's not that far off. So on to the last and hardest one to argue, GSP. Yes, his competition might not have been as fierce as it is today, and he had a couple of losses, but to be honest, this is a hard one to argue. Even in this hypothetical debate, Alex might have a bit more work to do there. But you've got to admit, it's not as crazy as you first thought when you pressed on this video ready to tell me I'm a twat. If he does get a couple more wins at light heavyweight, and then maybe gets his hands on the heavyweight gold, I think he might have done it. And that is a long way to come from drinking in some dingy bar, telling everyone that listened that he once beat up a dog fiddler. Anyway, if you like this video, give us a sub, check out this playlist of recent bangers. I'll see you next time.